last week about their ideas for their 11 spring play. So.
Well, we preface that it's going to be a junior and a senior on it, no one else. So an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Okay.
Both very responsible students, Aiden Duncan and Topanga Sodders. I just want to get them a couple feet off the ground, put a smoke machine underneath them, and have them wave back and forth so it looks like they're in the clouds, like it's in the movie.
Is there any chance to have it like a mat or something that could be temporarily put there and removed without interrupting your move? Like one of the, what is it, a gymnastic mats or something like that, that could, without disrupting your play? Or would that be a challenge?
I'd have to look into that
Yeah.
as to how that's.
Yeah, the engineering of this rig then comes to Mr. Clifford.
Could we have Kelly try it first, and if it works out well for Kelly?
Then you know it's good. We don't hold anything at that point.
Mr. Clifford, how are we gonna know it holds them? I mean, obviously you're gonna demonstrate ahead of time, but.
No faith, no.
Well,
No faith.
I do.
I mean, we'll test
I have
run
a
it.
lot of faith in you. You should know that by now.
We'll test run it first
Yeah.
before I throw students on there.
Okay.
You guys laughed, said you're gonna put Kelly on there.
Yep.
That was the plan.
Well, I want to see it then. I figured, yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah.
We'll record it for you and send it to you.
Him and Mr. McMahon, I mean, if I'm operating it, I can't get on it. So.
That's right, that's true.
That is true.
And so it's over the stage.
Yes.
So it's on the stage.
You're talking like
Can
2
we
feet
go
or
over the
whatever.
gym? No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, over the stage.
Yeah, and it's only gonna be a couple feet off the stage.
5 max.
5
It's
feet.
hard to justify how high it's gonna be without being in the back and seeing it.
So is it like coming like this, or like just straight, like straight across?
Well, the plan was I would get plywood and then a carpet would lay over the plywood so you couldn't see the
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
And then with 1/16 steel cable, which will hold roughly 400 pounds per strand, I'll have one on each corner painted black to be hidden with the black curtain behind it. And then on a pulley system, I would be able to lift them up, and then they all would be independent on the corners, so I'd be able to tilt some to make them look like, I mean, I will get no side-to-side movement. I mean, I'll be able to tilt the carpet, but that's about it. With all the lighting and everything else that's already up there, we can't get much other movement without taking that stuff down.
Go for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem.
I'm
with it.
all for it.
Yeah,
Good.
I'd love to see it.
It'd be nice if you could incorporate, the mat somehow underneath, just as a,
Safety.
just as a secondary.
Or there might even be something else other than the thicker mats, just something if we could, I mean, I 100% trust, I mean, you wouldn't be putting yourself out there if you didn't think this was gonna work.
What's the pulley system? Is that already there?
No, we would attach
You
pulleys
just-
to the
okay.
plywood, and then it has, like a rebar,
That's what I meant, yeah.
rebar beams up top,
Okay,
and we would attach a pulley up there.
gotcha.
So I'd have 2 movable pulleys and then a fixed pulley.
I'm all for it, but 2 foot and 5 foot is quite a bit of difference, so I don't, you just you know what I'm saying.
Let's negotiate, 4 feet.
Okay.
I mean, 5's pretty tall. I mean, figure about a foot shorter than me, and then a student on it, which would give you another 2.5, that's 7.5 feet. They'd be pretty close to the lights up there at that point. So, I mean, 5 would probably be like absolute max, probably not even that high. Just because I feel like they would be in the lights or pretty close to it. So the plan was to make sure it works, like lift it, put weight on there, Mr. Shepherd, Mr. McMahon, somebody, make sure we can get it up pretty easily. And then have them on it the week prior during the practice, and we'll operate it just to see. And then I was gonna mark the cables, so I knew like, okay, no higher than this. And that way I could see it while I'm back there operating during the play.
I think it would definitely be really neat.
Do you feel comfortable with the board's approval concept, like just so we could see it maybe ahead of it actually, you know, before you're putting kids on it. It's just something where we just understand it. It's easier, I visualize what you're saying, but, you know what I mean?
So,
'Cause I think
I'm
it's,
sorry.
I think we're all in favor of it, but just something where you could provide like a proof of concept, like once you have it where, before you put a child on it, that you can kind of just show it to us.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
show it to Kelly and Brian. Then they can just relay that back to us.
You can do that,
I think it'd be a fantastic thing.
as long as you don't see the cables. You can do it with drones as well, but that costs a little bit more money.
Yeah.
We better start with the cables.
Next year.
That's how Broadway did it, in case you didn't know that. They did
With
it
drones?
Yeah,
Really?
they did it with 4 drones underneath each corner, or a drone underneath each corner. And they didn't do it with any cables, they just,
Wow.
Very cool.
Technology.
Nice to know the assumption is that I weigh about the same as 2 teenagers.
And I will say, I'm very happy you guys are putting stuff into this and doing these things.
Yeah, that part's pretty cool. She's got partnerships going with
Yeah.
his department and obviously with the art teacher, and
It's very
those things are
neat,
going well.
very, very neat.
I know you've been happy with the sound and all those kind of things coming since we're done. I know that's been a challenge. Yeah,
You could actually hear acoustic guitars through Christmas concerts.
yeah. Good. Thank you.
All right, I'll be the test dummy and we'll see how, we'll let you know how it goes. Thanks, guys.
Do you want an official motion on that or just wait for more?
We'll wait. We'll wait to get that follow up so we can.
So next item would be the minutes from December's board meeting, actually January's board meeting. I think we have part of both.
No, we just have December's.
We don't have January yet.
Not that, yeah,
Okay.
not that short meeting. I told her to wait.
Motion to approve December's board meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
We had no personnel items.
So we do a name docket approval.
Make a motion to approve the claim back.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. Then moving on to balance sheet, just for information purposes. Any questions about the board and the balance sheet?
No.
You need to move on then to public comments, or are there any public comments that's taken on the agenda?
Well, just for information, so everybody knows, there's gonna be a helicopter flying down along the river with a big ring on the bottom. They're supposed to have a meeting over in Illinois, so they can notify people. It's in the Herald Argus the other day.
Huh.
It's, according to the picture, it's one big huge ring.
What's the purpose?
It's,
Something to do with the river?
with the river, the groundwater and all that, and what's in there and everything. This holds a ring, it's a humongous thing. But they're gonna take off from Illinois, I don't remember the town. They're supposed to have a meeting over there, I haven't seen it in the paper where people can go there and be in.
Somehow it reads something in the ground.
Reads whatever's in the ground.
Interesting.
And it's only gonna be enough to clear the trees. That's how low it's gonna be.
Huh.
But I don't know how far the ring's gonna hang down. I just thought you probably ought to know about it. If you get calls by a helicopter flying awful low along the river.
UFO.
Yeah, could be. And they're also gonna have training exercises in this area here pretty soon too.
I spy a place for Chad to go hide. Go take some photographs.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments by the public? Okay, well, can you move it on then to S-Craft Insurance Renewal?
Yes, item number 8, and it's number 25 and 26 in your packet. I just want to bring to your attention that, as we could easily assume, our S-Craft insurance rates have gone up. So Dara did a nice job of breaking it out for us, each little piece that's increased. But the grand total, it's going to be about a $12,000 increase on our insurables. So we just wanted to basically make you aware of that, see if you have any questions in regards to that. Page 27 in your packet is also, that's the,
Do you know where the basis of most of the increase was? Is that,
it's across the board.
so it's just not, or that is a little bit where the increase?
Looks like operating expenses went up quite a bit, so it is a premium package.
1,800.
Lost one package over the word.
Yeah, Dara's got it all broken out.
Biggest increase was premium package.
Start.
We didn't have that prior, Kelly,
Right,
the cyber.
right, cyber is new. Yep, so that's a contribution to it.
Is that just something we have to have, or we just add because it does? Or is there,
That was a have to.
or
Yeah, it's become a have to. Yeah, and there's been, in the last couple of years, there have been a couple of schools in Indiana who have experienced it. Yeah, so with adding that cyber protection, the increase is more like 7-ish, 6 or 7. Any questions on that? Brian, principal's report? First of all, did you win tonight?
No. I'm trying to go back to personnel.
Do we have something on personnel?
No, well,
And you
myself,
also
I've already-
hired a 5th and 6th grade.
You need to go?
Yeah,
Okay,
no. They played hard. We just, a
good.
lot of fifth graders have never played a game before, so they were in awe of everything that happens during the game. Once the ball is hit, they weren't for sure which way to go and where they should stand, and so,
Yeah.
but they got the team clear. Okay, so last week was PCC week. Just wanna give a shout out to our dance and cheer team. The PCC competition was Saturday before PCC week, and both teams did exceptionally well. Definitely represented our school very well. Both teams represented our school very well. Girls didn't make it as far as they wanted to, but it wasn't due to lack of effort. They put everything they could into it, so just happy with everything. We had Spirit Week last week, had a day last Thursday. It was bring anything to school except a backpack, so bring all your stuff in something else beside a backpack. So we had some kids bring some different things. Grocery carts, wheelbarrows, a vacuum, desk chair. So it was kind of neat to see what our kids brought. I was a little afraid at first, not for sure what we would come with, but I will say grocery carts and all that was loaned to them. They didn't steal them. They asked. That was one of my first questions I asked them was, we didn't raid Dollar General and take all their carts. So they said they were approved for them. So in the last couple of weeks, we've had different programming meetings. So we met with South Central and Westville, just talk about sharing programming with them. And so that was our second meeting. I think we're getting a little bit closer of being able to nail down some things that we might share with them. us sending kids to their school, them sending their kids back here. So I'll have more information on that in the probably maybe March meeting. I'll have some more solid information on that. We met with Ivy Tech today, Mrs. Kramer and I, about the Indiana College Core. So the Indiana College Core is 30 credit hours that kids can get in high school, and if you get those 30 hours, then they will transfer to any school in the state of Indiana. They have to accept them, any college. So in 2018, they changed the rules of who could teach dual credit, so I think we went from like 3 or 4 teachers down to 1 at that time. At the beginning of last summer, we were at 2 teachers, and that was actually Mrs. Kramer and myself. We're the only ones in dual credit certified still. We are now looking into 5 of our teachers that could possibly be dual credit certified at the start of next year. Some are taking classes right now to get dual credit certified. So that might be something on the horizon too, of how do we get these people some additional money for the work that they're putting in the classes that they're taking. But it'll help our kids instead of us taking online Ivy Tech classes or having to drive to Ivy Tech. We'll have teachers here that can offer those classes. And then the last thing, we applied and got the digital learning grant last year. And so we're going through professional development, and that's actually starting Wednesday with the teachers. So it's 3 one-hour-long sessions that we have with that, about group rotation or centers in the classroom, flip instruction, and then individual rotation. So the teachers watch about a 25-minute video beforehand, and then we have an hour-long professional development, and we'll have 3 sessions of that. So that'll be January, February, and March. And then the teacher will be given a stipend for that during that time too. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Well, Superintendent report, I know you've heard about these buses I'm trying to obtain from North Judson. Again, like I'm at the point where it's any day now. They're gonna get their new buses and then release those 2 used ones to me. Wanted to give you some heads up on upcoming topics for February. I'm gonna invite the group from the Heartland Church, who I met with recently at the high school, to take a look at it. They want to further have some discussion about their potential interest in that old high school building. So they'll come in and kind of talk to you about what they're thinking, and maybe push that discussion a little bit further. I've extended an invitation out to Jim Elizondo to come and give us a presentation on what our bond that is getting paid off for the office renovation, and what that, whatever that is, 4 cents or 5 cents, can mean to us with an income stream there for doing some of the work that we need to get done. And then connected to that, obviously, is us relooking at our strategic plan and start to try to match up the dollars and what our needs are from a physical standpoint. And try to get those things to connect so we can get moving on what we need to shore up, and have a forward-looking vision for that.
When do those expire for that project?
Our last payment will be coming here, maybe in the summertime, I think. Yeah. And so we're at the point where we can enter into those discussions with it. Jim will show us what that looks like, and we'll go from there as we get him in. Any other questions or thoughts? No, that's all I have on the regular meeting.
Motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. We have a motion to open the Board of Finance meeting.
I'll make a motion to open the finance meeting.
I'll second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Since the first line would be the election of officers for the finance meeting, do we have a motion for approval for the president of the finance?
I'll make a motion to have Tim Booth.
I'll second it.
make a motion to nominate Melanie Mills for the secretary position.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Yeah, so the finance meeting, I'll back up a little bit, and that is a January requirement. Each year we have this, the reorganization piece of it. And then that leads into an update from the Distressed Unit Appeal Board is where this resides on the state website. So I can show you that up here on the screen. So a little bit of financial, and the information has to come from what they show here. But yeah, I always caution a little bit because they're just, every now, throughout, there's numbers that just seem to not connect all the time for me. Like one example here, the 313 is the number that we certified for our fall count for 21-22. But when you come down to the bar chart, and then cover here, it, yeah, see that doesn't make sense either. It's even worse than the example I had. Here. Hold on.
All right, wrong group.
Okay, we are in the wrong part of the state. We get the ordinance here. Adam Central always pops up first. Well, but- It switched, must have switched back on me, because that's our 313.
Yeah.
And then when I get down to the here, it, 21-22, it shows 312. So there's just, always seem a little bit of disconnect. So take these for, again, what they are. I'm aware of how they get some of their numbers on that. But anyways, so the first thing up here is our enrollment. And you can see where we've been, where we've gotten to now. This year, this fall, on count day, we certified 320. So the nice thing is, at this meeting next year, I'll be able to show the bar chart will actually have an upward trend to it. And that's good news. It's 7 students, but hey, it's going the right direction. The next item they have here are the fund balances as of December of the calendar year listed. So you can see, and I'll remind you again of the change, the most accurate information you're going to obtain if you look around on this site is going from 2019 forward. Because in 2019 is when the funds changed, and a lot of these extra things listed over here got combined into the education fund and the operations fund. So seeing the fund balances as of December, the first thing that will jump out to you, it looks like the operations fund is really climbing. It is. However, that's because they took, in 2019, they changed where some of these things resided. So that leads to that transfer of funds from the education funds to operations to make sure our physical plant programming and such is taken care of. So while that looks like that cash balance is growing, and like I said, it is, keep in mind we are getting ready to make a major expenditure on the roof system to get this whole building watertight. Some similar plans for the roof at La Crosse. And then we've got some big ideas for some programming expenditures as well for those funds. But if you go to this site, you can look and make some comparisons with other schools on that. This one here is pretty noisy in my opinion. I'll read what this indicator provides: a comparison of revenue to expenditures, again for a calendar year basis, And then whether or not we had a deficit or a surplus. So if you look at 19, is the last year we showed a deficit. And then we've ended, what we want to do is have some surplus at the end of each year. So there's what 21 looks like. This indicator considers the ability of the school corporation to continue operating in the event that some of our revenue didn't get to us on time. If for whatever reason we didn't get the monthly or quarterly payments that were due, what's our ability to maintain function? So it shows our fund balances as a percent of expenditures, and for 21, or 50%, we're healthy. We could operate in the event that we had whatever, things fell apart and we didn't get our tax release in time and that sort of thing.
So I'm assuming they are considering investments, and not they're just looking at your fund balance.
That's correct. Just fund balances on that one. This shows all of the different revenue streams in this type of chart here. Pretty self-explanatory when you look at that. You can see the money that comes in that's more recent. A lot of that stimulus money is reflected there. What comes in as state revenue, our local taxes, those two are obviously the big ones. There's a lot of info there. If you hover over it, it will pop up and you can drill down into that information. This last one is if we had an operating referendum, which we do not. So that slide is still in there, but we don't have that, so that reflects in the straight line. Questions, thoughts, comments on that? The overall takeaway is we've spent wisely. We're ready to embark now on the things we need to shore up. I know briefly to reflect on our strategic plan, we've talked about getting our roofs all done as close to at the same time as we can, so that's going to be a big one. We've talked about our restrooms here needing some updating. I know more recently Brian and I have talked to you about, I know it's only 7 kids to the good, but that's what we're hoping for. The trend growing, that was part of the whole purpose for being up here. So the notion of getting two more classrooms out in front of that growth, because the last thing we want to be doing, if that growth pays off faster than expected, is now we're utilizing the cafeteria as a classroom, or the old portable, we know the shape that's in. So those are the things here in the next couple months off of this information that, we got to get to decision-making type of stuff. So, any other questions before we close the finance? Oh, wait, I do have 2 more. I'm not done yet. The other things that are required, again, is our investment policy. As you know, we have money invested in CDs. The policy has not changed since it was adopted in 2016, but it essentially states that it's protection of the principal. We don't put any money at risk. That money is safe and guaranteed. Right now, the interest rates are good, so we're generating a little additional income while we're in the decision-making process of what we want to do next and what we need to do next. You have an explanation on our current CDs. We've had a few mature here, so if you look at page 29, you will see that Dara did a good job of showing us what has matured, and we are in the process of determining what's the next best thing for us to do with those as far as which ones to reinvest or put back into our coffers. And so we're just gonna take a few days here or a week or 2 and figure out what's the next best move for that. Now that is all I have.
Financing.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next board meeting, February 27th.